Clem Chambers is back for another interview here on Trading Trends, and this time he's here with the gloves off. The market has become very good at dressing up speculation as sophistication. AI is productivity. Multiple expansion is quality. Concentration is leadership. Expensive stocks are compounders, yada yada. Every time that valuations look ridiculous, someone finds a new excuse to create a total addressable market that's bigger than what may be actually out there. So Clem has seen enough cycles to know how all this works. A real idea appears, investors get excited, Wall Street builds a story around it, and eventually the story starts to do more work than the numbers. Maybe we're there here, and it's a good week to have Clem on. He's the CEO of Online Blockchain, former CEO of ADVFN. Clem, nice to see you once more.
Great to be back, and yes, addressable market of the solar system. I mean, I kind of had to agree with Elon, as he's the only man that can pick up the phone in the morning and go, I want to be in space this afternoon. He's the only man in the world that can do that. So I call him Musk the Merciless. He is the ruler of the galaxy, because he's the only one who can get out there, really, isn't he? So, I mean, you know, he has that addressable market. All he needs is some Klingons.
Well, I mean, it brings us back to that old adage Robert Schiller had about castles in the sky, clicks per eyeballs, all that nonsense from the dot-com era. I mean, when you see pitch decks and IPOs going out with things like total addressable market, the universe, does it surprise you that SpaceX has been cut down by 60% or so since its highs?
Not at all, because it was always going to happen. And actually, on my YouTube channel, I said, yeah, IPO, but actually, I wasn't allowed in because I live in Monaco, and we're obviously men of international mystery and all sorts of bad things. So you're not allowed to have any. And it was obviously going to pop. But it pops 1, 2, 3 days pop, these things do. And then they go down, 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 down. And, you know, that was always on the cards, that it was going to go below its IPO value, because they kind of always do, don't they always do? I mean, look at Coinbase, look at Robinhood. The thing is, when do you buy? Because they all go up, and they all go up a lot, but they all go down a lot first, and then they, you know, sometime in the future. So for me, and I'm getting old and crumbly now, so the intraday trading that I do, and used to do all the time until my stomach lining went, you know, that's receding somewhat in my rear view mirror. But how to handle SpaceX? Now, for me, you've got to, this is going to be really, really annoying to a lot of your viewers who are traders, dollar cost average it. I mean, you don't have to be in and out all the time. And what I will do with SpaceX, probably middle of next year, is dollar cost average. Now, obviously, there's a lockup, but obviously, if you're sophisticated and have got billions and trillions of it, you go to your investment bank and say, yeah, this is locked up, but I'll write you a promissory note to promise that you can have it in a year's time. Please hedge it now. So, you know, that would have been going on. That would be one of the reasons it's going that way, because a lot of people will be doing funky hedging of their locked up stock. And, you know, but who cares? But at some point, it will reach a bottom. They ain't going bust. They're the only game in town. It's the only thing the Chinese can't do, right? And it is a fantastic thing that they're going to be doing, are doing, have been doing. And there's service centers in space, which you need to scratch your head about that. But actually, it can work. I've done the numbers. The problem is cooling it. Because if you can't cool it, it will melt. And space is not cold. People have to not think space is cold. There's nothing in space, so it's a vacuum. And the only way you release heat in a vacuum is by radiation. So you need vast radiators to get that heat out of those floating service centers. And if you do all the maths, a couple of thousand of those out there, which sounds like a lot, but isn't when you think they've already got N,000 out there already of their satellite things, can be done. So it's all you know, it's interesting, but not now. Sometime in the future when it gets to the bottom, which I reckon is the middle of next year, or maybe the end of next year, and then, well, you've been watching it for 2 years, so you know what it's going to do. You can just buy a bit, and buy a bit more, 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 because unless something really bad happens to them, they will be the Google of the future for space. But it's a question of starting to buy at the right price, not at what was the wrong price. So, and then it will be, you know, spread your risk by building the position over a long period of time. I knew the Nvidia people in the 90s. I mean, what a dunce that I never bought any. I mean, look at all those big caps. You had plenty of time to buy them at a really low price.
It's so funny
over a long period.
You mentioned Nvidia. I frequently bring up, how when I was a kid, I saved up a lot of money to buy like an Nvidia GeForce 4 so I could play Call of Duty and Counter-Strike on my computer. And if I had just taken that $70 and invested in Nvidia stock instead,
I knew the people. I knew the people inside Nvidia, and they were great. And then I bought untold dozens of them. I think I bought like 60 of them back in the crypto boom, and was rather peeved that they decided that crypto people shouldn't have GPUs and that they were going to do AI with them. And again, so I'm just telling you why you shouldn't take any notice of me. But the point is, if you look at all the wunderkinds, right, and if you bought a little bit of them over 4 or 5 years, you'd be laughing. And when you do that, you're managing your risk, because you can fall out of love with them and you go, well, actually, I thought we were going to be great, but now, Elon's doing something else. He's doing underwater mining or something, or he's got religion. I don't fancy that anymore. So you've got plenty of time to get in and plenty of time to watch and learn and get a grip on what they're going to do and become expert in those stocks before, they go to what turns out to be the moon in 5 years or so time. So that's the way I'll be playing SpaceX.
Let's talk about some of those names like that, because it's not just SpaceX, right? Private company with an enormous private valuation. It goes public. There are other companies that are coming down the pipeline like this too. Anthropic has to be one. OpenAI probably going to be another. IPOs eyed for later on this year. Given the lesson that we just learned with SpaceX here, do you think that equity investors are going to continue to see this initial IPO with these lofty valuations as exit liquidity first and foremost? Or, go ahead.
Exit liquidity. Now that's a crypto phrase, really, and it's a good old-fashioned, goes back to the 19th century idea of distribution into people that are clueless. Now, first of all, private investors are not clueless. Yeah, obviously there's a group of them in the same way as there are in the institutions, but there's a very simple model, and it's a model of all IPOs forever, as far as I'm concerned. Right? If you think it's going to pop, you line up for it. So what you do is you apply for it within a few hours of the cut-off, because you're listening to the vibes. And if everyone's going, you go, this is going to pop. So you get some, right? And then it opens, it pops. Now, classically, the highs are the third day. Me, I get out of the first day because I'm a chicken. So, nice pop, thank you, goodbye. I don't care where it goes. I know it's going to go down. I don't care. Do I short it? No, I don't care. I've got my pop. It's simple. It's brain dead. I don't have to be clever. It was going to pop. It was always going to pop. I took what they gave me and I sold it. Yeah, and that's the play for the private investor or for your viewers. If there's a uproar about Anthropic's IPO when it comes, or OpenAI's when it comes, then it's going to pop. So you have some, not too much, just enough where you don't care if you lose 5%, and it pops, get out. Or it pops, hang on for the next day if you're brave, hang on for the third day if you really are, reckless. But it's going to happen, it's always going to happen if, when you go onto Reddit and Twitter and everywhere else and all the media, everybody's going rah, rah, rah. And if they're going, oh yeah, it's coming, you don't want it. So, no. I didn't want the SpaceX IPO initially because I thought it's going to be ridiculously priced. But it was obviously so clear that everybody wanted in. Friends from strange hobbies that I like treasure hunting, were ringing up going, I'm going to go into SpaceX. And I think, well, if he's going to, everyone's going to be going. So, it's free money. And then they said, no, you live in Monaco. No, you're suspicious. Bugger off.
So I have a question here that's been popping up about Elon, right? SpaceX IPOs, both Tesla and SpaceX, have kind of slogged off a little bit here. The Elon cinematic universe, for lack of a better phrase, right? It's no longer just one main attraction. Everything. You were betting on SpaceX before, you're really just doing it in Tesla. Now there's two separate vehicles for these things. Do you think the net result of all this is ultimately going to be a merger between the two names? And is that really the play that we have to be keeping an eye out for when we're thinking of SpaceX or Tesla?
You see, I've got this problem with Tesla, okay, and that is it's electric cars. Now, is there going to be enough electricity in the West for the AI boom? No.
Right now,
So
no.
how are they going to get it?
How?
Well, you don't want
Coal?
electric cars,
Natural
do you?
gas?
You don't want electric cars, do you?
Not on this grid, not at least in America right now.
Nope. Nope. So all of a sudden, petrol's back in fashion. Yay. Oh, electric cars. Oh, yeah, they're nice, but you don't want one of them. You want a gas car, a diesel car. So we can send the electricity to the AI people because they need it. And just get a, internal combustion. They're much better now than they were before. They're much more friendly, and it's all not such a problem anymore. No. I mean, no one's complaining about China burning coal like crazy during this Iran war in a way of making up for their power needs, and therefore they can not have to buy any oil. Right? Nobody's worried about that, and that's going to go the same way with the internal combustion engine. So you've got this electric car thing. So, okay, it's not about the electric car anymore, boys and girls. It's about the robots they're going to do. Yay! And there's Chinese robots in retail stores now for $18,000, and they're doing kung fu. And there's these crazy dogs falling off mountains and surviving like you don't want to have in a war. And China's got 200 humanoid robots being manufactured, apparently. I don't know, that's probably wrong, but and I can buy them right now for $18,000. So it's going to be Tesla robots. Taxis? I mean, if you took Lyft and you took Uber and you stripped out their market cap and gave it to Tesla, it will be sploosh. So, what's going to happen there?
We're probably going to get
you
a
take your
SpaceX
Tesla and you
merger.
stick it in space. You take your Tesla, you stick it into SpaceX, and you've buried the body, haven't you?
That is one way to do it. Hey, Clem, we only have a few minutes left here, so I'm curious. Let's go out over the next few months. We're going through a major earnings season right now. A lot of narratives are up in the air. Earnings growth looks good, but it's built on maybe stilts. What's the number one thing traders have to watch out for? And I'm thinking about the IBM trade that we talked last time, because right before you came on, IBM had a little bit of a pop. You had gotten long. Since then, we've obviously had a day where it had come down a little bit. Now it's stabilizing. Is this just kind of like the par for the course for the foreseeable future, that we're going to look for these hyperscalers, these semiconductor names, 15% swings, they got to be in your back pocket as a possibility?
It's going to be wild, okay, because if you wanted to make an analogy for it, I think this is 98 in the dot-com boom. A couple of years to the top, yeah? And volatility just gets I hate it. I mean, I'm a boring investor. I like to buy boring stuff that just kind of goes up and makes me money. But it's all over the place. And there's only one call: is AI a false dawn or not? Is it as good as everybody has been saying it is, or is it just a mirage? And I don't think it's a mirage. I don't think it's a mirage at all. I think it's a massive thing. So it's like the good old days in, say, 96, when all of a sudden all the chip guys fell out of bed. And there was carnage, absolute carnage in the 90s with the chip stocks. And guess what happened next? They went through the roof. So if you believe in AI, it's all going to go up a long way. If you don't believe in AI, then the whole AI chain will just crumble, and that'll be that. So I don't think that is the case. For my own personal usage and what I'm seeing from other people, it is as revolutionary as they say. And therefore, it's just a matter of volatility. There's all sorts of issues with AI, one of which is that it will face stiff resistance from people whose livelihood relies on words, because it does it better than them. And, they're used to being in charge, and they're used to charging you fortunes, and all of a sudden they're getting cut off at the knees. Well, you can't expect them to take that line down. So there will be a lot of pushback for sure, huge pushback, and also big pushback from American adversaries. China doesn't want AI to come to America or stay in America, or America to be big or dominant in AI. If China's dominant in AI, it's won. Full stop. End of game, right? So, AI is the big thing if it is what I think it is, which is this amazing revolutionary thing. And every time I use it, every couple of days, it does something and I go, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So I believe it to be so. So it's just a matter of a massive increase of volatility and a wild ride ahead. And so that's what I'm thinking. And I think it all pans out in September. Typical summer desperation and lull, which is making the market volatile and liquidity low, and you'll see September it will come roaring back for 6 months, and so I'm in there because bitter experience has taught me that getting out in a correction is very costly. Or, I don't lose money, but I would have made a lot more if I just hung on in there. So this time I'm not playing clever. I'm just sitting there and chilling it out, and it's gritty. It's very, very gritty, but I'm yeah, well, I've got a reasonable chunk of money, to say the least, and backing AI as being as big as a lot of people are saying it is. And the people that say it isn't, you look at them and tell me, are they empowered by their own ability to use words? I think you'll find they are. And obviously they ain't going to like it when suddenly this computer is better at them than they are.
Interesting as always. He's been Clem Chambers, CEO of Online Blockchain, former CEO of ADVFN. You've been watching another episode of Trading Trends here on Tasty Live. Like and subscribe for more videos.